All right, here is a video talking about getting started with the logo trace project. Once you're in Illustrator and you're ready to create a new document, you're going to click right here. Our next window is going to open up, and we could make ours 7 inches wide by 7 inches high. Make sure you're not set to points or pixels or something like that. I would just set it 2 inches is good. And for this one, we only need one artboard. So change that to one artboard and you can hit create. It'll bring open our blank artboard there. Next, we need our source image to use to get our reference image. So go into Google and I'm going to get the Harley Davidson logo to use. And I am going to click on images. When I'm in images, actually I'm going to add in there Harley Davidson logo. And in images, I'm going to go to tools over here. And then I'm going to change the size so that it only search for large size images. And it will adjust. So I'm going to use this image right here. I'll click on that. And then I'm going to right click on it and tell it to save image as. And then I will go ahead and make sure I know where it's saving to, if it's saving to my desktop or my downloads, and hit save. And then I'll go back into Illustrator and I'm going to go up to File and down to Place. And I'm going to place my logo into Illustrator now. So here it is. Double click on that. And I'm going to click once, places it in there. And it's a really big size image. So I'm going to adjust the size of it. Make sure your cursor is a diagonal arrow like this. It'll change to a rounded or a diagonal or different types of cursor. You want that diagonal one. And then you're going to shrink it down. Hold down Shift so you make sure that you don't end up distorting it or stretching it out at all. Get it to the size that you want it to be. And then we can zoom back in with our zoom tool, or Control Plus would do it. And so over here in the layers, we can see that it has my source image on layer 1. And I'm going to hit down in the corner here, I'm going to hit new layer. It'll bring open another layer here. And then it's helpful if you lock your background layer. So clicking right here will add this padlock icon to it. And then this background image here is going to be locked, and we can work on layer 2 to start doing our logo trace. Next, I'm going to go over to the tools and I'm going to grab the pen tool. And I'm going to start just by tracing this black shape that's kind of in the background. And I'm going to change my color to be something strange just because it'll stand out a little bit better and make it easier to kind of see the difference between them. Then I can start putting my anchor points in, trying to get as few anchor points as possible to make this image, and also remembering that it's okay to not have it perfect at first because you come back and fix it. So I'm going to change the opacity or the transparency on it. So going to Window and then going to Transparency, and about 50% is good. Hit Enter. You might need to click on your last anchor point to keep continuing on with that. And I'll click on this one here. If I do want to make that corner, sometimes holding down Shift or Control, it's a good way to do it. Or coming back and adjusting it after the fact too also works. Click and hold to get that rounded part. And I'm just going to set my anchor points here. When you get to the last one, you do want to click on the very first anchor point you made, and you can see the circle show up next to my cursor there. That means that you're closing in the shape and completing the shape, and that closed it in. Next, I would go and grab that chevron tool, or it's the anchor point tool right there. This will allow you to just grab the one handle on each of the anchor points. And I'm going to zoom in a bunch. Zooming in is helpful. Go back to that anchor point tool and start to adjust my lines. And it is a little bit of just back and forth of moving one handle and going back to the other handle and moving it, trying to get your line to show up as close to that original image as possible. You should be able to get it really close. And if you need to go back and move that original anchor point, you could use the direct select arrow, and you can click once on that anchor point and then click and drag it to where you want it to go. Then I would just keep moving through here. If you click on that once, it should have the anchor point show up for you, and it will have the anchor points or the handle show up too. If you drag that anchor point to be parallel with that line, it should make a straight line. You can also hold down Shift is going to help to lock that into a straight line there. So holding down Shift is a good way to get that straight line to show up. I'm just clicking and dragging and going to try to adjust this one first. If I want to a little bit hard to see my handle there, just drag that up to go straight. This one's a little bit out of line, so I could use my white arrow tool to select it and pull it over where I need it. Back to my convert anchor tool. Can grab just the one handle or the other. And I would end up just going around my whole shape until I got it perfect. And it is a little bit of a process, so take your time with it. When you're first starting out with it, it's definitely not as easy as you would hope it would be. So give it some time and work through it. Let me know if you guys need help.